guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know this beat, it's your girl KylerB coming at you with a new video. So today we're going to be talking about Succession Season 4 Episode 10, which is also known as the Succession Series Finale. Let's get right into the video. Let's just say Shiv the Shiv. Shiv the Shiv. So the episode starts out basically Shiv is on a high. She thinks she has it in the bag. She's in good with Matsson. It's going to be a 6-7 vote. She got Stewie. She's going to get Roman. All that. She has like a talk with Matsson and, making sure she's dotting her I's and crossing her T's. And there's like basically a cartoon showed. And it shows Shiv basically being the puppeteering mastermind who is basically making the moves while Matsson is like the face. So it was a cartoon and it kind of like basically showed you what's to happen next. Shiv gets a call from Caroline basically telling her essentially that Roman's at the house, after he got beat up by the protesters, and Shiv's like she's on her way. You got Kendall over here. Kendall's like, he's calling Stewie to make sure he has Stewie down. He's trying to locate Roman because he doesn't know where Roman's at. He finally gets intel and then he calls Caroline up. Caroline is like, she didn't want to give up the information that Roman was there just because, she kind of figures it's going to be all about business. So Kendall shows up at the house. They're all there. And it's just like, okay, they're trying to fight for, it's basically a battle between Shiv and Kendall. So we go back and we see Matsson, and Matsson's talking to Tom, and he basically flat out tells Tom that he's trying to get with Shiv. And he's like, he doesn't really see Shiv seriously. So he basically shifts his views from having Shiv be the CEO of the company and take it with the Matsson deal to Tom. Because in the conversation that Shiv had with Matsson, she basically said that Tom is basically going to suck up to anybody who is in the power position. So with that being said, Matsson's basically kind of interviewing Tom for the CEO job. He's like, I still need an American CEO. Are you up to the task to do it? Basically told Tom straight out to his face that, under the right circumstances, Shiv might get with him too. So it was like a very disrespectful conversation, but, Tom, as how he is, willing to suck up to anybody who's in a powerful position, basically a rat, a backstabber, snakes, essentially, he, agrees to that situation. Greg is also in the bar, and Greg basically emerges from the shadows, okay? He had that translator app up. He was hearing them talk in Swedish, and it basically confirmed that they said Shiv is out. Shiv is not going to be in the plane. He calls up Kendall. He's like, trying to make a deal with Kendall. He's like, if I give you this information, are you going to do something for me? And Kendall's like, yeah, I'm going to do something for you. When Kendall finds out that, Shiv is out, he confirms it with his other sources, he breaks the news to Shiv. He's like, Matsson basically played you. You're not getting that job. So, Shiv tries to be like, you're just lying to me, and she tried to call Matsson. Matsson does not pick up. So they call somebody else. They said, like, okay, how do we salvage this? How do we go against the board? How do we go to the board in the morning with a new plan? The guy said that they can't do the CEO bros thing with Roman and Kendall because they're not going to take that seriously. They can't go as a trio because also Shiv was just basically cozying up with Matsson. So how is that going to look for her to go back on Matsson and, try to be a trio with Kendall and Roman and not look good? So Kendall's like saying like, it's him. Like, let him be the CEO. My take on this is just like, since season 1, he was the logical CEO. They literally had to put Roman in boot camp. Shiv was literally in doing politics. She was nowhere near business. So I'm just like, why are you, there's such a debate on why it can't be Kendall. Like, Kendall is the only one with the most experience in this job position. You know, he actually had a proper job working in the situation. You know, Shiv just got joined in, and Roman was never really taken serious for a top spot at all. So, with that being said, they're bickering and everything, and then at the end of the day, they finally come to a conclusion of letting Kendall, they're gonna vote with Kendall and letting Kendall be the CEO. So it's basically like, you know, we see a flashback within a flashback, not really a flashback within a flashback, but we kind of see like a flashback in real time, you know, them in the kitchen, in Caroline's kitchen, and they're like, you know, having, you know, making a mess, they're being kids again. You know, Shiv made this smoothie and she had the audacity to spit in it, and I'm just like, bro. And then Kendall still drank the spit smoothie, and I'm just like, no.
I'm gonna eat his cheese.
Lisa doesn't like the knobbies, darling. You're a knobby.
You're a knobby. Catch it.
You're a knobby.
Okay, now 3 in a row. How did you do that?
Jonathan, sleeping.
Sorry, Peter.
Don't lick Peter's cheese. Oh my god, that is so bad.
Like, it was just like, they were just being kids and having fun, and just having kumbaya, basically. And I'm just like, this early in the episode, everybody's with kumbaya. It's gonna go downhill. Succession taught you anything, that not everything is, you know, sunny and rosy out here. You know, if you're on a high, just be ready to get back to a low, okay? That's the thing about Succession. You're not gonna be on a high for long. You're gonna get down to the floor. So we get back to New York, you know, and they go to Logan's house. So they went from their mother's house to their father's house. See Connor, talk to Connor. Tom shows up. He talks to Shiv. And basically, Tom basically says it's going to be him. Or she finds out that it's going to be Tom, who's going to be CEO. So we see the change in tempo, you know, the score. Everything's getting serious now. Like, oh my goodness, it's like going to be real Succession time. Like, if anything has to tell you, like, we're all in kumbaya, reflective time. Everybody is in agreement. Everybody's happy, you know, and we're going into like, okay, let's go. So Kendall, they're like basically told Tom, like, it's on, you know, it's gonna be them 3 against Tom, essentially. So they get to Waystar Roadway, and before they even do that, is that Tom finds out that, you know, Greg snitched. You know, he basically ratted them out. So they had like a big, you know, little slap session in the bathroom, and you know, when Greg slapped Tom back, I was like, oh, okay, Greg, because after all that times that Tom slapped Greg and whatever he did to Greg, all that time making him, you know, his lap boy, whatever, you know, Greg finally struck back, like, okay. So they back to Race Our Road, they meet up Stewie. Stewie basically confirms that he's gonna be voting with Kendall. But then we see a shift. You know, they're in Logan's office. You see Kendall sit in the seat. You know, he's putting his feet up on, you know, the desk. You know, he's in big office, and you kind of see a little change in Shiv's eyes. Like, you know, that kind of doesn't seem right. You know, and you know, it seems like, you know, Kendall's finally, like, you know, embracing that this is going to be his new day to day. So we see like this hug between Roman and Kendall. But the thing is that Roman was like hyperventilating because Jerry showed up, and obviously he fired Jerry. So Jerry showing up after they fired her for, I guess, not a real reason is kind of like, okay. So Jerry shows up, he's hyperventilating, and, you know, he was trying to escape not being in the boardroom. So I guess to comfort him in a way, you know, Kendall's hugging, you know, Roman very tightly, very like, it's like very tightly to like, it's like said to, he's breaking open back his stitches, Roman's stitches. And then he kisses Roman on the forehead. So, you look at the scene and you're just like, seems like, Kendall's just hugging his brother. It just seems like a sweet scene, but it's just like, okay, if he's hugging him so tight, to reopen his stitches, I guess it's a form of, pain that Roman, welcomes and encourages for himself. So in the boardroom, and we finally get to the vote. Kendall starts out, basically says that him and Roman basically landed the deal, which is not true. If Shiv didn't come back and actually, try to secure the deal with Matsson, they would have lost the deal because Roman messed it up. Roman messed it up. The fact that Kendall's even acknowledging or saying that, him and Roman secured a deal, that's not what happened. But, it might be a little shot to Shiv that, Shiv is like, okay, that's not true. I actually secured a deal. Anyway, continuing on, he's like, the deal's bad. I'm going to be voting no. Frank is over here on the other side, I'm going to be voting yes. But I'm like, Frank, when has Frank not been on Kendall's side? So the fact that Frank is being the one switching sides too is what? Did I miss a chapter here? Because when is that going on? So the vote is going. Kendall says no. Frank says yes. Both Sandy says no. Both Sandy says yes. Roman says no. Stewie says he's Team Kendall. No. Then we get to Shiv. And, we got even Ewan is voting with Kendall. So then we get to Shiv, and Shiv is like, she needs to step out. So after everything that they talked about, Kendall's like, what is going on? They all get out the room, and then all siblings talk into the other room. So that's when everything starts to go down. They're in the glass room, and they're talking. And, Kendall's like, what's going on? Why are you not voting with me? What's going on? Just all you have to do is say no, and we're good. So, Shiv's like, I can't stomach you. It's not all about you. That's all you care about. And, it's not all about you. That's all you care about. And you can't even be CEO because you killed somebody. So she said all of that. And it's just whoa, what is this coming from? After, being kumbaya the night before to, you basically telling Kendall how you really feel and even throwing back into his face something that he told you out of confidence. But Kendall, he basically, tried to shoot that down oh, I didn't do it. But the thing about it, Kendall never killed anybody. It was an accident. The guy took and tried to take control of the wheel, which sent both Kendall and the guy flying into the river. Kendall obviously made it out and was alive, and he was trying to save the guy who also got out, but the guy was gone. So he didn't intentionally kill anybody. It was, vehicle manslaughter. But, as it is, it's just, if they know that it was an accident, the guy took control of the wheel, also while being intoxicated or, under the influence, it's not really Kendall's fault, but he obviously took it onto him because it happened right in front of his presence. He was there. He could have been the guy who was killed too. So I don't really understand why it's all on Kendall, he's the bad one. Obviously he was driving, but when you try to take control of the wheel and send both the driver and the passenger into the river, what do you expect? Anyway, not to say he was not supposed to take accountability for what happened, but it's just oh, you killed somebody. Okay, he didn't run somebody over and kept going. He tried to save the guy. The guy obviously was gone. So anyway, let's get back on track. She dishes all of that out to Kendall, and Kendall's like, what? No, I didn't do that. I only said that because we were trying to bond. We were just bonding, sibling bonding. So then we have Roman, he screaming out, he's oh, I'm the eldest boy. So I'm just Kendall, really, last episode you finally acknowledged, or not finally, but you acknowledged Connor as your sibling, your three siblings. And it's just like, okay, now that you're saying you're the eldest boy, is like really disregarding, is that you're disregarding Connor as your oldest brother. So, the actual true oldest, son out of the situation. So with that being said, we hear Roman basically say, well, you're not the bloodline, or, she's the one carrying the bloodline or something like that. And Kendall's like, no, we're carrying, we're the bloodline. What are you talking about? So he's basically insinuating that, Kendall's kids are not his biological kids. Like, only Shiv has the true bloodline. So that really turned Kendall into resorting to violence and trying to, really hurt Roman. Because, let it be known, Kendall really cares about his kids. Like, he's not going to let that slide. He does, like, anything that really, truly hurts him about his kids, he actually does care about it. Don't really, like, granted, he's not there all the time, or rarely, but he does really care about his kids. Like, the guy who was about to fight Rava for custody doesn't care about what Roman said about his kids. Yeah, he cares about that. Anyway, so with that being said, Shiv tries to stop Kendall, he pushes her back. Then she tries to leave the room. He tries to stop her, but, Roman's trying to, like, oh, stop, like, leave Shiv alone, because obviously Shiv is with child. So, he's fighting Roman, and then Shiv left the room, and then she ends up voting yes to the Matsson deal. So, Kendall loses the deal. And with that being said, everything starts crashing down. He tells Shiv, like, if you don't vote with me, like, he literally dies. Figuratively, metaphorically, he dies. And then, we hear Rowan finally tell, the siblings, like, they're nothing, essentially, that, the CEO job was not going to go to any of them. They're not going to get the CEO job. And it's just, like, the harsh reality, that I guess Roman figured out, he's basically putting out into the forefront. Like basically, it's kind of like basically having them in that glass room, and basically them airing out all their business in that glass room is kind of like, whoa. Because you kind of like see like them, it's kind of embarrassing that, the boardroom can see everything that's going on, kind of hear, if they're speaking loud enough, everything that's being said. So the fact that they're like airing out everything and coming to terms with what's going on in a glass room is kind of like, okay, all right, snap. And then, but it was very embarrassing to like watch, especially hearing, yeah, it was very embarrassing. So Kendall loses the deal, and then it comes into, he goes back into the room and he's like, let's just adjourn the meeting. But, to his knowledge, because Frank lets him know, it's over, it's done. And, Jeremy Strong says in the, he says later on, that Frank also said something that he never had it, or he doesn't have it and he never had it. And that really crushes, Kendall's spirit. And the thing is about it is that, like, I kind of like, granted that this finale and this series finale makes sense in a way that, it is a tragedy, and like you're coming to terms with a tragedy that, but it's just kind of sad that we see Kendall work for something since season 1 to obtain, and this one goal, to hear from 7 years old that this is what you're working towards, to be the CEO at your father's company. And the fact that you lost by 1 vote because of your sister, that's gonna hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, you lost by 1 vote. You were this close to winning, having it. If he wasn't doing a good job, that's fine. But the fact that he never was able to obtain it, is just kind of sad. And like, that's something that he's been working for, is being lost. And people saying that, oh, they're going to be fine and they're going to have brunch, or they're going to be good. No. The fact that your life's work gets shut down because your sister did not vote it with you is going to do, like, irreparable damages to your relationship. This is not like some, the fact that the company is gone is to Matsson. The company is Mattson. It's not like, at least if Kendall is CEO, they still have the company because it's their birthright. The fact that you passed your birthright down to Mattson, or gave it up to Mattson, and then allowed, Tom to be CEO. Tom is just the face. Mattson told Tom exactly that's what he's going to be doing. He's going to be the face of the company. While Mattson's going to be doing the things behind the scenes, he's going to actually be doing, all the legwork and all whatever. To say that Shiv freed Kendall, she was not thinking of Kendall at all. This was a selfish move. This was selfish. This was not a Kendall move or saving her brothers and trying to free her brothers. This was not no sacrificial lamb move. She made her decision. She made her decision to stay with Tom. She made her decision to, front stab her brothers. Really her brother, because Roman really did not care about the CEO truly. It's only Kendall. It wasn't no sacrificial lamb or I was just doing the best for you and he doesn't know it. No. This was Shiv being, a big hater. That's what Shiv is a hater. I mean, not let it be real. Shiv is the hater. She does not like to see Kendall win ever, really. You know what I'm saying? That's just being truly honestly. Granted, there was a lot of things that, Kendall did that kind of maybe rubbed her the wrong way, as putting his feet up on, the desk and, maybe saying that Roman and him secured the deal. Maybe that kind of made her uneasy and made her be like, oh, well, if you're going to push me out, that, if I can't have it, nobody can have it. And just that's basically what I see is what made her fuel her decision, is that if she couldn't have that job, then nobody within her siblings could have that job. So she's going to give it to the next best, person, which is her husband and the father of her kid. So this was not no sacrificial lamb for Kendall. And the thing is that relationship between Shiv and Kendall is not going to be repaired anytime soon, or even ever. To really delude yourself and say that's going to be, they're going to be fine. No. The one thing that you worked so hard for in your life is getting taken away from you because, your sister couldn't be on one accord with you. It's gonna make you not gonna be happy with her for a long time. You know what I'm saying? At the end we see Kendall sitting on a bench in Battery Park and he's walking, and we see Colin, and you just see how loyal Colin is. As soon after Kendall offered him the job of working with him, you see Colin walking with him. Is that you would think Kendall would have jumped, and Jeremy Strong did talk about how they shot a scene where he tries to jump and Colin stops him. And the thing is that I think Colin, as loyal as he is, he's gonna try to do everything in his power to make sure that Kendall's okay. He's not gonna let Kendall do anything reckless, anything like that. So Colin's gonna be the person gonna be on standby to make sure that Kendall's okay. So even if Kendall does want to do that, jump over, Colin's gonna be the one to be watching him. So that's essentially why it kind of shows you if Colin wasn't there, Kendall probably would have. But Colin is a loyal guy. He's probably the only person right now who's in Kendall's corner. He's gonna be a loyal guy. Try to maybe help Kendall come back to reality. I don't know. But at the end of the day is that Kendall basically lost essentially everything that he so wanted to obtain his goal since he was 7 years old. something that was implemented by his father. And the thing is that, Kendall was trying to be his own self, but he thought that if he was his father, maybe he can obtain the goal. That's why in episode 9, he was like, well, I hope it's in me, because he wants, if his father was this, man who was able to have this company with the way he was, he thinks that maybe if he has some of the traits in like his father, maybe he could obtain that same goal. And even with that being said, he still did not, get the goal. He still was not able to do it. It's just like, even, he was trying to do it as, being his own self. No, he tried to, get traits of his father and, imitate his father, and it still didn't work. It's just like, the harsh reality, the tragedy of it is that, basically, is that, but, Kendall's not going to, achieve the success that his father did. He's going to achieve success maybe if he gets out of, being defeated, and he probably works towards it. But at the end of the day, is that the success that his father has, made, he's never probably ever going to get that success. And, never say never, but that's just basically the harsh reality that he is just not going to get it. Shiv chose her destiny. I feel like the only person who kind of got out and felt the most at free, if you will, is Roman. He's at the bar getting a martini, and he has like a little smirk at the end, even though he has like wounds, and stitches in his head. He feels probably the most at free. He's away from the company that gave him stress, his father that, made him hyperventilate and things like that. So, I feel like Roman's the only one who kind of like won in the end. I mean, it's kind of sad for, the Kendall Truthers out here, that he didn't win, because just like it made the most sense for him to win. But obviously, it is what it is. I mean, I just didn't like that it went to Tom, and then obviously Greg is gonna, obviously reap the rewards of Tom getting it. Even after Tom snitched, we see, after Greg snitched, you see Tom still like, okay, I'm still cool with you. But the thing is that Greg always has been Tom's lapdog or Tom's punching bag. So you think that Tom is going to give up his punching bag? No, he's not going to give up his punching bag. He's going to obviously, or his lapdog or his personal assistant. The personal assistant who gets $200K on salary. Like, okay, for a personal assistant, like, be for real. But this ending, I mean, it was very much, it came to terms with it. It just sucks that, the entirety of the 4th season of what Succession is for Kendall, something that he's been working towards since season 1, it just has never been achieved. And then the ending that Jesse Armstrong talks about is that even in the end, they decide to, stop the show like this, or, is because, we see at the end that their lives still keep on. Their lives don't just stop. They're still going to be living their lives. But is now that they're out of the company, they don't have the company anymore, it's over. Because that point of interest that we watch is about the company and who's going to be the top dog of the company. So now that the company is out of their reach and they're never going to be able to obtain that ever again, is like, okay, well, their lives are going to continue on, but that point of interest is kind of lost. So you kind of have like these different pathways that you can think of yourself, like, okay, what's going to happen to Kendall? Kendall can probably, reconcile with Rava and his kids. Roman, he's going to be doing that, bar guy type thing. And then you got Shiv with her, child and Tom. And that's probably going to be the only storyline that might be interesting. But the storyline there, it really stops there for the siblings as a whole, because it's been said that the company brought them all together. So the fact that they don't have a company, they're mostly going to be estranged. You know, you can see Caroline probably try to bring them together, but Kendall's probably never going to forgive Shiv anytime soon. And maybe Roman might show up because obviously Roman is at peace with what's transpired. And then Shiv, we don't know. But all I'm going to say is Shiv is really the Shiv. The season finale, I would say it made sense. I mean, it really does wrap up, you know, what it is. And it kind of makes for a tragedy, which it is. It's just being a Kendall truther, it sucks because it's just like, he didn't win. He's like defeated beyond repair right now. Well, not beyond repair, but it's going to take a lot for him to try to repair himself from the ground up to be whatever, you know. It's like it's going to take a lot. So this was the season finale of season 4, series finale of Succession. What are your thoughts on the series finale? Did you like it? Did you not like it? You know, what did you think about them fighting this glass room? You know, what was your thoughts? But anyway, guys, if you like this video, like the video, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts, comments, concerns. And also, if you're not subscribed to my channel, subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Peace.